Hello, current students and prospective students, faculty and staff. My name is Andrew Kanarek, or Dr. K for short. I am an adjunct professor in the biology department. I teach Biology 103. I am also a research scientist at the Environmental Protection Agency, where I study how pesticides affect threatened and endangered species. I'm a risk assessor in that capacity. Well, I've always been interested in how and why things work by themselves and together. In addition, I've always wanted to better understand existence and self-organized complexity. And so I pursued a degree path that allowed me to study just that in theoretical evolutionary ecology. Throughout my career, I've been teetering the line between mathematics and biology and married the two together in an interdisciplinary degree field. And so from a bachelor's in biomathematics to a master's in applied mathematics, PhD in biology, and postdoc work at the National Institute for Mathematical and Biological Synthesis, I have always been pursuing biological type questions from a mathematical point of view, where I try and better understand how things work and operate from the quantitative relationships that underlie such behaviors. And so what I do is, from a theoretical level, try and model to predict and forecast and better describe how systems operate. In terms of that, 3 gems of advice that I might provide to you would be to learn and master the fundamentals, and this includes a heavy emphasis on mathematics and statistics. In order to do anything these days in the sciences, you need a strong perspective in the quantitative sciences, because we are collecting hordes and hordes of data that need to be described statistically, and we are looking to better understand things and how they work, not only presently, but predicting how they will work in the future will take computer programming and modeling and, better understanding the math that describes how living things work. And so every job these days job announcement that passes by my desk always will have a line for strong candidates being good in statistics and computer programming. And so I strongly recommend you pursue that, and in general the fundamentals, because if the foundation of whatever you're studying is not strong, then you will never succeed at the advanced level, because you'll always find that you're always having gaps in your knowledge on things that you need to know in order to understand the more advanced concepts and topics. Secondly, I would suggest that you always apply your real life observations to what you are learning, and this has become quite relevant for me these days, being that we are living in an epidemic, pandemic in fact, and I've studied a lot about disease ecology with a few papers that I've published on disease transmission and virulence. I could strongly relate the two from a mathematical perspective and better understand, the current dynamics of the current events. And so I would say that your inspiration really comes from, what you perceive around you. So that is always a good perspective to have. And lastly, I would say to always ask questions. That's how you better understand things. You really get nowhere by being silent. Speak up. There are no dumb questions, and so when in doubt, always have your hand up, and that's the best way to get yourself noticed, and then not to mention how you can just better understand what you're trying to learn. If I could do things differently, I think I would have a slight more emphasis on applied research, maybe some more coursework in toxicology, being where I am at the EPA and studying impacts of pesticides on living species and populations. I think having some tangible, relevant coursework and laboratory experience would be lucrative in the future for anybody going into the biological sciences. Theory is good from an ivory tower perspective, but when it comes to something that's hands-on, you need to demonstrate that you can go out and do field work and that you can manipulate things in a wet lab and so on. And so, doing something, even taking numbers, the applied numbers, the numbers that you'll get from Amazon or Facebook, the numbers that you would get from trials for medicine and pharmacology, the numbers that you get from the National Ecological Observatory experiments. We are living in an age of big data, and so working with and analyzing that kind of information from a hands-on level is most important to have under your belt when pursuing careers in the sciences. I would say, pursuing anything from a disease ecologist modeler is relevant in this day and age. Becoming a risk assessor, risk manager at the EPA or USDA or Fish and Wildlife or the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, all of those are always looking for good biologists to help us better understand our environment and our ecology. And one last line of work that I've always been interested in is biomimicry. It's not talked about very much, but basically it's the design and production of material structures and systems that are modeled on biological entities and processes. And so I think, in addition to everything we have to learn about life on our planet and elsewhere and how we can apply that to our own lives and behaviors, we can also take how other organisms have adapted to thrive and try and apply that to in a material science type manner. And so that's most interesting to me, from being able to scale a wall to swimming more efficiently and everything beyond. And so we have a lot to learn from animals in general and a lot to better understand in terms of disease dynamics. And, a lot of very, very exciting research to come. So I hope you have a great semester. I hope you have a great year and a great career pursuing your interests. And stick with biology. It's the answer to the meaning of life.